So today I want to talk about difficult conversations. No one likes to have them, I don't think. If you do, you might want to get that checked out. Okay. So, but we all have to have them at some point or another. You know, that's the ticket to humanity is that someone else's texture is going to be rubbing against your texture and it's not always going to fit together. And so difficult conversations are born. And the problem with difficult conversations usually is we all have three sides to the story. There's their side, your side, and then there's the truth. And getting to that, often you spend so much time ruminating or talking about what actually physically happened that there's no healing that happens and there's no forward happening. And then it's just always difficult conversations. So how do we get out of that loop? How do we move forward? I'm like exhausted thinking about that loop that I might get stuck in. Anyways, so difficult conversations. 3 tips for helping them be less difficult and hopefully transversing it and moving into a solution area, right? So the 3 things are, we're going to show up and be present. We're going to be curious. And we're going to have a beginner's mind. We're not going to be an expert, right? So let's unpack those a little bit. So you might have seen the other video where I talk about breath work cycle and being present. That's really what you're doing when you show up for this difficult conversation, is you want to be present. You don't want to be caught in what you're going to say next. And you don't want to be caught in like, oh, you are wrong about point B and the addendums to that. I have to correct it, right? We don't want to be stuck in that area. The best thing to do is to be present, bring yourself back aware. Okay. So once we're aware and once we've shown up to this conversation to have it, not the way we've planned it out to go, but just to see how it unfolds, like a lotus blossom, it opens every day. We never know how it's going to open, but it opens, it happens, right? That was supposed to be a really beautiful analogy and it worked in my head. I don't know if it transmuted to you guys, but anyways, second thing, be curious, right? Be curious. And I would say also the not being an expert, those two kind of go hand in hand. When we're curious, we're asking questions, right? And we're not asking those questions that we know those answers to, but we're asking because we genuinely want to know what this person is thinking and feeling. We want to check in with, did I understand you correctly? This is what I heard you say. Let them correct it. You know, that might be the first time that they heard what they said and they're like, that's not what I meant. And so give them an opportunity to correct it. So that asking of the questions really opens up the discussion floor, right? It helps us clarify. It helps us get to a place of solution. And when the third part that comes into it about not being an expert, about having a beginner's mind is like what I like to call it. You know, often we want to show up with like, I know exactly why this is happening, you know, or I know exactly what you did. And I saw that text message, whatever it may be. I'm not trying to project here, but I got stuck on projection. Sorry. I'm so sorry, guys. It's getting late, but I really want to get this out to you. And so the not being an expert, which I clearly am not being an expert right now, having a beginner's mind, when we remove that mantle, that burden of I have all the answers, and we show up to have this difficult conversation with somebody and be vulnerable and say, I don't honestly know what the breakdown is, and I want to learn more, and I want to have this difficult conversation with you. That there is an elegant beauty that happens there where we start to move forward in this relationship or this difficult conversation, or, you know, that moving forward may be that the relationship no longer is. But having that difficult conversation enables you to learn more about yourself, learn more about the person that you're talking to, and thus develop boundaries, develop an understanding, to remove a narrative that's in your mind. Whatever it is, it's always going to be good, right? It's always going to be for your greater good. It's always going to be for your greater benefit. So 3 tips to showing up to difficult conversations. Show up and be mindful. Be present. That's my breathing. 2, be curious. Ask questions. Check in, understanding. 3, don't be an expert. You know, there's no room for growth there. Be curious. Have a beginner's mind. That's the word I'm looking for. Have a beginner's mind and see what happens. Talk to you guys later. You know what to do if you want more, right? Okay, bye.